WalrusCast.
Welcome back to WalrusCast, a show where we like to talk to people who know things about stuff. I'm your host, Jonathan Knoll, and, this week we don't actually have a guest. And, yeah, I know, it's been a while, I'm sorry. The schedule for this show is not as regular as I'd like it to be, but this week I thought I'd make a special exception, because I just barely got done recording the latest episode of Late Night Taco Delivery with Daniel Gill. And I got some really bad news. A personal hero of mine just passed away. His name is James Horner, and he is a composer. Well, was a composer. He's responsible for the music to such films as Titanic, which everybody knows him for, but he's also really well known for the music to Star Trek II and Star Trek III. He did the music for The Rocketeer, which is a fantastic movie. The Mask of Zorro, Braveheart. Willow. I mean, the man was fantastic and created some of the greatest sounding scores of our generation. And it is with a heavy heart that I have to say goodbye to him. I never knew the man, but without James Horner's scores, the thing about James Horner's scores is that every single one of them is unique. Every single one. There's no point in a James Horner score where you go, oh yeah, that's something that happens in a James Horner score all the time. Because he just doesn't do that. He's that good. He's got a fantastic mastery of the use of the string instruments, and he seemed to be a really big fan of the lower bass in the brass, with just minor pulsations of the higher brass, like the trumpet. Every time I listen to a James Horner score, it's exciting. It's adventure. I go driving listening to James Horner scores. And as I just barely said on the show, the world's going to be a lot quieter without him. His death was sudden, from all the reports that I'm getting. He was an avid flyer, a pilot, and had at least 5 aircraft registered to his name. 2 of them being helicopters. And let's see, James Horner. His plane crashed in Southern California. He was 61 years old. His death was confirmed by his assistant, Sylvia Patricia. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. I apologize if I'm not. Without James Horner, like I said, the world is quieter. There's less adventure in the air. And I just can't believe that he's gone. That voice in music is silenced. He lives forever in his composing, but I got the news of his plane crash just before I started recording the night's episode of Late Night Taco. And at that point, there were no survivors in a plane crash in a plane registered to James Horner's name. And so, because at that point it was still a rumor, I asked that we not bring it up until anything concrete was revealed. And just as the show ended, the news came, and James Horner's music is engaging. You don't even have to know what's going on in the movie, and you still want to listen to more. You hear that the soundtrack is over, and you can't help but play it again, because it grabs the imagination. He did the soundtrack to a movie called Krull, and as far as I can tell, he was really, really busy at the time, so he recycled a lot of the music cues from Star Trek 2. That's the only reason why I would have been able to tell that it was James Horner's work right away. And even still, just listening to the opening strings, the bounding rhythm of adventure and goodwill, and the idea that not everything is wrong. There's still something to fight for, is evoked even in something like Krull. I'm gonna miss James Horner's work. I'm very proud of the CDs that I have right here in my hands. Krull, Star Trek The Astral Symphony, Star Trek 2, Star Trek 3, Willow, The Mask of Zorro, and The Rocketeer. What can I tell you about his life? His first major film score was The Lady in Red. He's worked with Mel Gibson, Walter Hill, Ron Howard, Joe Johnston. He's won two Academy Awards, 2 Golden Globe Awards, 3 Satellite Awards, 3 Saturn Awards, and nominated for 3 British Academy Film Awards. He was born in Los Angeles, and had a brother, Christopher, and yeah, very prolific during the 80s. The 90s, he was also well known for his work with animation, such as An American Tail, Land Before Time, Once Upon a Forest. And as another one of my heroes would say, huge bucket of win. Gigantic bucket of win. So, if you're listening to this podcast, then I thank you from the bottom of my heart, because this episode means a lot to me. And it wouldn't be possible without you. Thank you for letting me talk about a composer whose work is very near and dear to me. May he rest in peace. Thank you for listening. This has been Jonathan Knoll, recording from the experiment room. Good night.
WalrusCast is hosted by Jonathan Knoll. Our title music is Cephalopod Walrus Mix by Kevin McLeod and mixed by Jonathan Knoll. You have listened to a production of Radioactive Walrus Entertainment. WalrusCast.
This has been a production of Radioactive Walrus Entertainment.
John, what do chickens say?